October 6, 2025 marks the deadline for the investigative board tasked by the Ministry of Defense to present its report on the helicopter crash which occurred on August 6, 2025. The Ghana Air Force had an Z9 helicopter carrying 8 people, including...
Hello people, welcome back to our channel. It's always your girl Pleasure bringing you political news in our channel, Ghanatube. And as a constant reminder that this is actually a better place to get all your Ghana news, trending news, and what is actually happening in Ghana, following all the actions that our president has actually been taking to make sure that Ghana becomes the best as he has always promised. Don't forget the accountability and all the vices, all the implementations that President John Mahama and the ministers are actually doing already. Please.
High-ranking government officials and military personnel went off the radar shortly after departing from Accra. The wreckage was later found in a forested area with all on board killed and in the impacts and subsequent fire. Here's a report by Judith Brown.
October 6, 2025 marks the deadline for the investigative board to submit its report on the August 6, 2025 Z9 military helicopter crash that claimed the lives of 8 people, including Defense Minister Edward Amane-Boamah and Environment Minister Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. The board, chaired by the National Security Coordinator, was formed by the Ministry of Defense to investigate the incident and comprised of members from the Ghana Air Force and the Ghana Aircraft Accident and Incident Investigation and Prevention Bureau of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. With the support of the United States Air Force investigators providing technical advice and assistance, the board began its work on August 25, 2025 and was given 30 days to complete its investigation. A preliminary investigation team was formed on the day of the crash to collect evidence, and the report was submitted to the board. The investigation involves analyzing the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, also known as a black box, which was recovered from the crash site. The board's primary objectives are to determine the cause of the crash, identify contributing factors, and recommend measures to prevent similar incidents in the future. While the investigation is crucial in providing closure to the families of the victims, it's also very helpful in ensuring that such incidents do not recur. As the nation waits with bated breath, it remains to be seen whether the board will meet the deadline and submit its report today. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Let's now turn our attention to cocoa, because despite a recent increase in Ghana's cocoa price to 3,625 cedis per bag, La Côte d'Ivoire has moved ahead again, setting its price at 4,040 cedis per bag, about 415 more in cedi value. The growing gap has raised concerns about cross-border smuggling, as Ghana also faces falling yields and a pricing system linked to the US dollar, which seems to favor farmers more when the cedi is weak than when it is strong. Experts say the difference shows the rising pressure on Ghana's cocoa sector and the need to act quickly to protect farmers. Today, we take a closer look at the figures, the policies, and what they mean for Ghana's cocoa industry. And joining me in the studio is Martin Isiedudata with more on this, Martin.
Yes, certainly. It's a major conversation because cocoa is a pivotal component of our economy. And talking about the numbers, you are right that the finance minister a few days ago, someone last week, gave indications that we Ghana had increased our cocoa prices, or how much we are buying it per bag from the farmer, to 3,625. Many were excited about it, but not the cocoa farmers. And their reason is that neighboring Côte d'Ivoire is selling or buying a bag from the cocoa farmers at 4,040 Ghana cedis. Now, that's a difference of about 415 Ghana cedis. So the finance minister that day said that now every cocoa farmer was going to earn 400 Ghana cedis more per bag of cocoa when they sell it to government. And clearly, there is a 15 Ghana cedi difference between what Ghana is selling and what Côte d'Ivoire is selling to or buying from their farmers. The major reason, like you indicated, is that we want to curb smuggling, where people wouldn't be interested in sending their cocoa from Ghana to Côte d'Ivoire to sell there because the pricing is slightly better in that country. But why is it so? Why is government of Ghana struggling to appease the farmers? Some of the cocoa farmer associations we spoke to said that they were expecting about 5,000 Ghana cedis, per bag from government. But government says we are staying currently at 4,300 and a little above that. Our cocoa has been priced against the US dollar. Why? Because on the international market, cocoa is sold and bought with dollar. And it tells you an interesting story about the performance of the Ghana cedi. So we sell our cocoa on the international market in dollars, bring in the dollar, and then pay the farmers in cedis. So if the cedi is weaker against the dollar, it means that we get more dollars into the country. But that in itself has an impact on the currency, the local currency. So although the cedi is getting stronger against the US dollar, it tells us that the amount that the farmer will get will be slightly less. If the cedi was weaker, where here you're selling a cedi for 16 Ghana cedis, that was a few months ago, then it meant that the farmers were likely to get about 5,000 Ghana cedis per bag, 5,000 and more. But now they're getting 3,000 because the cedi has appreciated against the dollar. So whereas as a country, our economy, we hope that our cedi is stronger, well, some individuals or some groupings like the cocoa farmers would have preferred that the dollar is, or the cedi is weaker so that they can get a bit more from that. So that's one of the major challenges. And if you look at the trajectory of how we have sold our cocoa on the international market, it has seen an upward rise, especially from 2023 season up until now, the 2025-2026 season. So it has just basically been 400 cedis per bag, straight down out to 2019-2020, where it went to 515, then 560. Then when it comes to 2023-2024, we started seeing it in the thousands. So we had our first bag of 1,308 Ghana cedis, and then now we are looking at 3,625. So there has been a good appreciation between 2024 and 2025-26 season, which is good. But there is another challenge. It looks as though a number of countries are also growing and producing cocoa, and that is where we need to be concerned, because Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire have dominated global cocoa sale. I mean, about 60% of the global cocoa export has been from these two countries. So we have dominated that space for some time now. But these countries have also started producing cocoa in mass quantity. So it is weakening our bargaining chip here as a country, or as West African countries. So countries like Peru, China, Ecuador, the Dominican Republic are all producing cocoa and are saturating the market, the cocoa market. So it means that Ghana needs to do more, especially when issues of galamsey is frustrating our cocoa sale and farmers are selling out their farms. So that conversation needs to go on. That's why we thought that it's good to bring this conversation of cocoa, which is a major part of our economy, for us to have a conversation on.
Thank you so much, Martin. Interesting conversation. We need to do more. Already, we risk losing our second spot as a producer of cocoa. Let's now go to the Upper East region, and the municipal chief executive of Bawku has appealed for a ceasefire in the area, urging residents to allow peace to return. The MCE says the prolonged conflict will negatively affect development. My colleague CrǎsЬ has more in this report.
A few years ago, Bawku was the business powerhouse of the Upper East region with brisk economic activity. The town was a preferred destination for trade, attracting people from across the country and neighboring countries to buy and sell. As one of the most densely populated municipalities in the Upper East region, Bawku generated significant revenue through taxes. But since the resurgence of the tribal chieftaincy conflict in 2021, the once vibrant town has slowly lost its former glory. Government and state security agencies have been working tirelessly to restore peace in the area through engagements with the factions, collaborations with traditional authorities, and the enforcement of curfews. The municipal chief executive, Isaac Azonaba, says the conflict has had a serious impact on development in Bawku. He is calling for an immediate ceasefire.
What I want to appeal to my people is that though our situation still is a challenging one for us, but I know very well that we'll put the guns aside. My people should give peace a chance, put the guns aside, we should put our differences aside, and then take up this cleaning exercise.
For the municipal chief executive, achieving lasting peace and driving development in Bawku while maintaining a clean environment remains his top priorities.
At the end of this year, I'm confident that we'll be the first municipality to be adjudged the best municipality in terms of cleanliness.
The National Sanitation Day aims to promote cleanliness in Ghanaian communities and reduce the spread of diseases. In Bawku, residents want the exercise to go beyond cleanliness. They hope it becomes a symbol of unity and togetherness.
I will also use it as an opportunity to call for peace. In fact, next month, my prayer is that Mamprises and Kusasis will come together to have a clean-up exercise as we are doing today.
Some other stories we have for you this evening are minors who received their Ghana cards effective today, October 6, are now eligible to engage in transactions with their personal biodata rather than through third parties. More than 350,000 Ghana cards of children aged between 6 and 14 are being issued by the National Identification Authority, taking place in 56 districts across the country. George Queening visited some.
And again, the importance of actually developing a Ghanaian structure that can feed into our tax, systems. I believe that at least we need to start from somewhere. So let me start from this, and that Kwesi did marvelously, with regards to the tax systems. And Professor Mills, when he was vice president, also introduced certain innovations. In recent times, we saw the Koduba Redu, also doing something good, and then to Nana Akufo-Addo's government. But I think that the gap still remains with regards to how government can motivate the informal sector, which is more than 60% of our economy, to roll them onto the tax system. And so I feel that KCL should be able to, develop a model, that would incentivize, the informal sector. In marketing, we believe this, especially when it comes to models of social marketing. And our belief is that behaviors that are permanent can only, be changed, right? Certain endemic behaviors can be changed when, there's a motivation. And so what it means is that the kinky seller on the streets doesn't want to pay tax. All right. Because the person feels that this is my family job. Why should I pay tax? So the government has not invested into it. Why should I pay tax? Now, I didn't write any application anywhere, motivated, encouraged. When you get this person educated in a way that the person will now feel the need that for reason A and B, I need to pay tax. All right. Then maybe I can benefit in one way or the other from the payment of tax. I think that at a point in time, you wouldn't even go to the person, to go and beg the person or force the person to pay the tax. The person willingly will walk to any DRE office to go and pay. And that is what I feel that we have refused to do for a long time. And we need to probably develop a model that can, help us get it. I think that one of the things that we can do, has to do with tax reliefs And you know, in foreign countries, I think that they have a system there where you can, you know, file for tax, you know, at the end of the year. And I think that it was one of the policies that I heard Dr. Bawumia spoke about during his campaign about tax reliefs and all that.
It was tax amnesty.
Tax amnesty. Okay. So I feel that yes, some of these things can be done, and once you do it and apply it to the informal sector, obviously it creates the platform for people who are not, you know, interested in paying taxes, you know, willingly will go and then do that. Again, I think that lawyers said something about empowering the SMEs, you know, which is a brilliant idea. And I always talk about the fact that, look, I think this morning they were mentioning that Ghana has over, is it 600 or something, you know, millionaires?
2,100 millionaires in Ghana.
2,100 dollar millionaires in Ghana. Can you imagine? And we still find our economy in these states.
You mean billionaires or
millionaires? Dollar millionaires.
2,100, yeah.
No. Though we cannot compare, you know, the size to other, you know, economies, right? Like China and the rest. But I think that within our context, the number is very substantial.
Yeah.
You know, if these millionaires will turn their hard-earned currency into, you know, productive ventures in Ghana, okay, such as the manufacturing. I mean, one of the weakest spots in our economy has to do with manufacturing and production. Okay, I realize that almost everything that we do has to do with service, right? And so you see that because of the fact that our manufacturing sector is very weak, our exports is very weak, and that issue of balance of payments is becoming a bit difficult for us, you know, to manage. All right. And so if you read the literature, they will tell you that, especially the Bank of Ghana literature and then the Ghana statistical literature, they will talk about the gold for oil, you know, policy, which has to some extent stabilize, you know, that kind of balance of payments. But going forward, I think that there should be a deliberate attempt, you know, to strengthen our manufacturing sector. You know, we always talk about COVID-19 and the rest. The economies around the world, whose economy
we
was...
were still talking about COVID-19.
No,
I thought that was before.
Before.
Or you are still talking about
we were talking about the word there that I used was where, meaning it is in the past. It's not in the present. Papa Ro.
That's a harmless question.
This one,
just a harmless question. Because you refer to COVID-19. So
yeah, so we all know that COVID-19.
So immediately you say that, then you add Russia-Ukraine war.
So it is history, right? Now, economies around the world which were resilient and were not so much affected by the dictates of COVID-19 were economies built on the manufacturing sector. Germany is an example. China, where COVID-19 actually started, didn't suffer so much because of resilience built on manufacturing. And that is the direction we need to look at. Okay, that's why I'm saying that if our millionaires, the dollar millionaires, would put or would turn their monies, their dollar, into manufacturing, you know, factories where we can actually, you know, identify some of the natural resources that we have, and we would invest into it. I think that it will be of help to us. Obviously, Roland, let's look at our, you know, exports. Okay, cocoa, beans
are falling.
No, I'm saying that the cocoa beans, we export them.
Yes.
In the raw state, isn't it?
Yes.
What percentage are we able to process, you know, add value to it, and then probably export? You know, we are not actually doing that. Now, again, when we check the Ghana Statistical Service data, you know, the reports that came out of the data, and which they were talking about the fact that Ghana's GDP is increasing and all that. And one of the contributors has to do with the export sector, and especially value-added products. Okay, now that even tells you that when we are able to add value to our cocoa beans, if you're able to add value to our gold, if you're able to add value to our bauxite and all that, we will get more money than what we are doing. And these are some of the things that can help us, strengthen our currency, strengthen our cedi, and then, as it were, not to be too dependent, or probably gain economic independence from these Bretton Woods societies and all that. So I think that it may not be immediate, right? It may not be immediate, but I think that this current government can leave that legacy, start and then probably look at certain areas, especially if they are talking about the 24-hour economy and all that. Look at the amount of money that we spend in importing, how do you call it, chicken, rice.
Please do well to like, comment, and follow. Put on notification bell so you get all our news one by one. Thanks, my